Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, although I forgot to put the static up. Let's put the static up and pretend that you didn't see that, audience, because that's a mystery movie that Matt will reveal in a bit. How have you been?
I've been cool. Not too bad at all.
Good. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, it's been a busy week, but it's been all right. I was trying to do like horror-y things over Halloween, but I didn't watch anything new. I just watched old stuff. So
yeah, mostly. Same,
I can't help it. I when it gets to Halloween, I'm always like, unless there's some big new horror movie that I'm desperate to see, I always go back to the classics. For me, I'm like, okay, I want to watch the classics.
I bought myself Blu-ray versions of The Hunger and Innocent Blood. So
nice. So Halloween watching for you. That's some good films there.
Yeah, those very good, and he got like posters and postcards and stuff with it as well, so which also went up on the walls quite quickly.
Nice. Yeah, some of those DVD things now are just amazing with what they come with. You know, especially those like steel books and things. It's like, oh my god, these posters are so cool. I got the Mothra Blu-ray last year, and that came with an incredible poster, which is on my wall. Yeah, they do. I think it's kind of inevitable as less DVDs and things are getting produced. It's more for collectors now, and they know that, so they know what we want.
And more things, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we want all the things.
Sorry?
We
will buy them.
We will, indeed. I also spent a bit of time this last week or so watching some Doctor Who.
Old Doctor Who?
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
Because the new one started, didn't it? And I was like, okay.
Oh, do you know, we didn't realise until the next day. We were like, oh, yeah.
Most people didn't.
Oh, really? Is it not doing well?
Oh, it's the worst opening any season's had, I think.
Oh, wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear. That's not good. No, I was watching old
They did it to themselves.
I guess so. That last season was terrible. So, there's only so much you're going to put up with it, and then you'll just be like, can't be bothered to watch anymore. But
so, what did you watch then?
Oh, well, I did an interview with Terry Cooper, and he did the voice of the Master for an audiobook on YouTube called The Final Game. It's a Third Doctor audiobook. It's really good. It's for free if you ever want to listen to it. But that made me, I was like, we were talking about it, and we got talking about the Third Doctor, and I was like, do you know what? Really want to watch some Third Doctor. So I was watching the Solarians. I watched Sea Devils. It's good stuff. Stuff.
Sea Devils has got such a great ending.
It has. I love those. Those ones are always great because it's like the budget was so low that they just always got whatever they could use. So it was like, oh wait, there happens to be a hovercraft around that we could use. Let's shove a hovercraft in this story somehow. We'll just shove it in there. Oh, what? There's a helicopter flying about. Let's get a helicopter in this story for no reason. We'll find a way.
And I think a lot of that was instigated by Pertwee.
I'm sure it was. He was Action Man.
Totally wanted to be Action Man.
Yeah.
He really did. And he's the most dynamic of the Doctors.
Oh, for sure.
Completely like over the top, and with his Venusian Aikido.
I love it.
The judo stuff, and like anything any vehicle he can possibly grab and drive around in is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a pleasure to watch that old stuff, and like his obviously, I think it's kind of obvious to say because he had the longest with a Master. But him and Delgado, their Master Doctor relationship is just awesome. Honestly, I every time I go back to classic Doctor Who, I just love it. The most offensive thing with the Pertwee era is that, especially with like the Silurians, was one that was really driving me mad. It's the soundtrack is so bad. Where like the Silurians one is like
jangly stuff.
No, this was when it was like the they were like, hey, what instruments have you got? And some asshole was like, well, I've got like a kazoo. I'm like, yeah, that'll fucking do. Let's just blow a kazoo every. I was like, oh Jesus, this sounds terrible. I don't know if it's a kazoo, whatever it was. Awful sounding.
I know what you Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, like the scenes are fine, but the music is just like, oh Jesus. But
I think the thing about Pertwee's Doctor as well is if you hadn't, because my first Doctor properly, I mean the first Doctor I ever saw was Baker, but the first one I proper was Davison, so he's my Doctor. And when you go back to previous Doctors and things, I think the when you get to Pertwee, he's so jarring.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least for his first sort of season and a bit, he's an asshole.
Yeah, he really is. He's like
really not a very nice guy at all. He's a much more acerbic than the first Doctor is.
It's funny when you go back because your memory kind of plays tricks on you, and you remember like for example, you remember the Doctor's relationship with Unit and the Brigadier, and you kind of think, oh yeah, I remember like him and Lethbridge Stewart, they were like, you know, pals and all of that, and obviously they end up being that way, and you kind of see that later, but early on he just fucking hates Lethbridge Stewart. He's like, you're just fucking dickhead, or like, you know,
him as a bureaucratic militaristic
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, of course, at the end of the Silurians, of course they blow up the Silurium base, don't they, after the Doctor leaves, which makes him furious. That makes sense, but he hates Lethbridge before that, like, and he's only really there, but I mean, he tries to leave in his first appearance. He's like, I'm getting out of here. You know, if the TARDIS worked, he wouldn't be there, basically.
He spends most of the first season trying to get away from Unit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he ends up in Inferno in the parallel dimension, isn't it? He's like,
what a story that is.
Oh, it's my favourite Third Doctor story, Inferno. Fantastic. The Brigadier with the eye patch is just
it's
just sells this perfect. Like they just let all of those actors and actresses have the best time hamming it up as much as they could. They were like, right, just be the most villainous assholes you can be. Right. I love it. That reveal when Lethbridge Stewart turns around with the eye patch, I'm like, oh
yeah.
Perfection.
It is hilarious.
It's so good,
and I've always loved the fact that the picture, the sort of the dictator leader sort of thing, with the face that was a face that he could have possibly chosen. As his when he generated, and you think that is cool. The fact that in that universe, basically the Doctor runs everything. Yeah,
basically. Love it. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today.
No.
We're here to talk about films we've watched. What film would you like to start with, Matt?
Oh, should we start with Dune?
Oh, okay. This could take a while.
Down with the big one first. Me and Matt went to the cinema, which, you know, shouldn't sound strange, but in 2021, it's quite strange. It was the first time we saw each other. I think we touched on this in the Hellraiser review, but we went to the cinema together for the first time since probably Avengers: Infinity War or something. Yeah, I think it must be.
And so Villeneuve's Dune has finally arrived, part 1, and I wasn't expecting that, actually. None of the advertisement called it part 1. So I was like, I'm assuming they haven't adapted the whole story. I'd heard they'd not adapted all of it, and I was really concerned. But then it was kind of reassuring when you got in there, and I know now we've got it confirmed. We got a second part coming. Great. Yes, but I felt kind of reassured when I sat down and the credits came up and it said Dune Part 1. I was like, oh, that would seem to imply that you've got Part 2 certainly on the way.
Yeah, I'd heard enough, but I mean, it wasn't certain. It was they you know, said that he was doing he wanted to make it 3 parts apparently, but 2 is, you know, what he's going for, I suppose. So
I read an interview the other day. He wants to like do Dune Messiah as well, which would be amazing. That would be absolutely fantastic. But yes, of course, based on the epic, which I think is the best word for it, book by Frank Herbert. Not the easiest of reads, but a read that I would highly recommend to any fan of science fiction. It takes a little getting used to. There's a lot going on. It doesn't hold your hand. And there's a lot of information to take in and assimilate. But a fantastic book. And with fantastic books come the fear of bad adaptations. which I didn't think was the case here. But I'm curious, first of all, what you thought. What were your thoughts? I know we briefly talked after the cinema, but it's been quite good, actually. We kept it to a minimum. I was like trying to, because I was like, we could talk about it,
Yeah. So, I absolutely adore the Lynch movie. I know it gets a lot of shit, and I know it's not a perfect adaptation.
I love it for what it is, I agree.
Added so much stuff that, and changed a few things to make it weird and campy in places.
You don't hire Lynch to do a straight adaptation of anything. That was your first mistake.
No. And the thing is he got messed with so much. I mean, it should have been like a 4-hour movie in his. I mean, ideally, what they should have done was what Villeneuve has done.
Yes,
is
absolutely
split it into 2 movies. So I was a little apprehensive going in because I'm very. I mean, and the thing for me, one of the biggest things for me is the soundtrack. The Toto soundtrack on Lynch's, I still listen to, today.
It's a stunning soundtrack.
It's one of those soundtracks that I get a lot of, it gets a lot of plays. So this version, we love Villeneuve. We think, he's one of the greatest filmmakers working right now, I think.
I believe so, in my opinion.
This, for me, was good, not great.
Okay.
I think all the performances were tremendous.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with any of the performances. Yeah, I mean, you could question the adaptation of those characters, but I think the actors and actresses were doing a fantastic job with the script and the direction that they've chosen to go in.
Yeah. I thought Rebecca Ferguson's portrayal was a little too emotional.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to say, actually, was definitely when it comes to... You can't fault the performance, but in terms of the... In terms of the character, yeah.
The way you get the close-ups of her is like... It's almost like, he's in love with her. The way he frames her, the way that she... the close-ups you get of her, which I'm not remotely complaining about, because I think she's an absolutely stunning actress who is also a great actress. So it's not an issue, but I did think that her portrayal was a little too emotional. I thought Chalamet was good as Paul. Sometimes he was a little wooden, but I think that's what I think that was how he was playing him.
I think it felt to me like he was told to play it that way.
Yeah, I think it was a conscious decision as opposed to a bad acting.
He's got the and just from a purely visual standpoint, he looks like Paul Atreides should look, because Paul Atreides is quite a scrawny, little guy, and I felt he looked the part, and I felt he was great in the role personally. I don't really have too much to complain about that.
Yeah, I think I did think his reaction to his mother later on was a little strange, but he was he seemed to be much more aware of his mother's manipulation in this version.
Yes,
which I'm not sure he is yet.
No.
This point. But that's.
I guess when you're doing part 1, you kind of want to hint it, maybe. Just, because it was towards the end when that sort of stuff kind of came out, and it was like, okay, like maybe you're just sowing the seeds for the part 2, Yeah,
I think Oscar Isaac was amazing.
Tremendous.
Really great. I don't really expect less from Oscar
No,
Isaac.
He's such a terrific actor. And he was like perfect, I thought, as Leto. I thought his performance was amazing. I think the real standout for me was Stellan Skarsgård. I thought he was great as Baron Harkonnen. I thought he was really good.
See, the problem I have with that is, I think it's my problem with all of the Harkonnen. I think because it's a first one, the they were underused.
Oh, they're underused. I mean, his performance was tremendous.
I didn't get enough of his performance to really get a real,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
sort of gauge of it. I mean, what I saw was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying I don't think he gave us enough of the character to get a really good. You've got the basics. He's a gluttonous.
Oh yeah,
swine, which is that's fine. I think the person who got the most short shrift was Peter Devarez.
Yeah,
he didn't get to do anything.
No,
he barely spoke. You get the part where he goes to the Sardukan planet to talk to the Sardukan, but he didn't really say a lot. And he should be one of those. He's a really flamboyant character. He has a. There is a scene early in the book where, and it kind of in the Lynch version, where they're talking to Fade. They're talking about the plan, and you didn't get any of that. And I thought that was a little disappointing for me that you didn't get to see. I'm sure they'll get more to. Well, Peter won't. He's dead.
Yeah, I was going to say some of them won't, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think they relied too much on the good guys, if you like, and I mean, it felt not enough for the. I think I'd like to have seen a few more scenes with, I mean, Fade wasn't even in it.
No,
they didn't.
I think though, there is an element of like it's an adaptation, and it's never going to be exactly what you want. It's not going to have everything from the book. I think it's kind of surprising in a way when you look at the runtime that there is a lot that they didn't put in. But as a film, I think it works really well.
I do think it would have benefited from seeing more of the bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm assuming we'll see more in part 2 anyway.
I'm sure we will, but I think it was to the detriment of this film.
Yeah.
And I understand it's a part 1. It's done as a part 1. That's fine. But I think it would have been nicer to have seen a bit more of the Harkonnens.
Yeah. I thought Josh Brolin was fine as Gurney. There's a fantastic.
He didn't get much to do either. Gurney was very underused. However, Momoa was great.
It's always good to see Jason Momoa playing Jason Momoa in a film.
Yeah, let's face it, Jason Momoa is not a great actor,
but he's very charming and very entertaining to watch. Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. He's good at what he does.
Yeah, he's great at what he does, and he fit the character of Duncan. It was fine. It worked, and it was like, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked perfectly. I mean, the joke that's in the trailer when the kid says to the kid, you put on muscle, and he says, "Have I?" And he says, "No." It's still hilarious.
It's funny. Yeah,
and you get a really that small part there just sets up their relationship really well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a tremendous. I don't know if you've seen it. There's an amazing poster doing the rounds online, which is like they've taken the poster to Dune. And they've made every character smile except for Josh Brolin. It's really funny. Everyone's got really cheesy smiles apart from Gurney, who's just really miserable.
Yeah. Here's the controversial stuff.
Oh.
I thought the designs and the palette was very boring.
Fair enough. I think I completely disagree, but fair, cool.
I thought it was very beige and very. I mean, on this okay, it's a desert planet, yeah.
I was going to say,
but the interiors don't have to be
sure.
Dull.
Yeah,
the interiors and the designs don't have to be dull. I thought the spaceships, other than the Thropter. The Thropter was
Thropter was incredible.
The Thropters are that is what a Thropter in my brain is always.
I agree.
The Thropters I thought were great, but the ships were and things were so dull. They were just like big, dull slabs of machinery that just go mad. Do something interesting. They didn't do anything interesting with the designs. I mean, I'm going to do it again. The design work in...
I was going to say, that's a problem, because one of the things that the Lynch movie really excelled at was the design.
Yeah.
I agree there.
Utterly beautiful. Every set in Lynch's
it's gorgeous.
Dune is sumptuous and beautiful and really, like, you know, almost designed within an inch of his life, which probably for some people won't like. But with this, everything is so dull. It's not, you know, there's no sort of. Sometimes I felt there was no life in anything. You know, it didn't feel lived in. It didn't feel.
Oh, I thought it felt. I thought it felt
very flat at times.
I think if I had a criticism about, and it wouldn't really be about the design, but I would say you don't see either like on Arrakis or even on Caladan, you never see people living their life. Like outside of, you see like people working and mining, but like, you know, you see Caladan in very brief shots. You never really see what life is like on Caladan. You never really see what life is like for people just living on Arrakis. Like it's pretty much like no one exists except our characters, and we'll just follow them, and we're not gonna, you know, you see like things in the distance
from outside at one point.
Yeah, of course.
Not even a big group. It's just sort of well, I mean, it's a crowd, I guess, but not a crowd you'd expect. Yeah, I think it did feel a little distant. It did feel a little cold at times, I think. I don't think it was a
terrible,
necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But I think for me it felt a little too distant, you know, it felt a little too
I personally really liked the design of most of the movie, to be honest. I really liked the sense of scale. We got some of those great shots, like which I've always said some of my favorite shots in when someone does a space shot with, you know, these huge ships and they're just tiny in the vastness of space or behind it, you know, the planet. You know, one of my favorite shots from Alien is like that, where it's just, you know, this oil refinery in space that's just a little speck in space. And there's a few shots that Villeneuve did like that in this movie, which I absolutely loved.
But I don't think I don't think you got a nice enough, a good enough feel for that, because they didn't show the crossing. They didn't show any of the jumping. They didn't show any of that. And I thought that's, you know, again, that was your chance to sort of do something spectacular, and I think they just didn't bother. It felt very, you know, muted in that way.
It didn't bother me, but I can see your point for sure. I generally I thought this film was fantastic. I think I've got probably a higher opinion of it than you, based on what we're saying.
And the thing is I know I'm saying mostly negative stuff.
Oh no. Yeah, I know you liked it. We both talked after you.
Genuinely
really liked it.
Good movie. It's a really good movie. Don't get me wrong. I think the problem was after we'd finished it, because at that point we hadn't heard they were the sequel wasn't.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And I think at the end, I was happy to go either way.
Sure.
If there was no sequel, I wouldn't have minded so much, and if there was, I'm happy. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like, you know, a great, like, oh, I must see the second one now.
See, I felt the opposite way, actually. I remember saying to Ben on the way home, I was like, you know, like, if I could have had a piss break, I could have sat there for another 3 hours and watched the next part. I would have happily done that if I had the option. So I guess we had quite different different feelings on that. But yeah, I think we could agree overall it's a very well constructed, great film. I actually liked the music as well. I know that was a sticking point for you, and obviously the Toto soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
But I actually thought Zimmer's score worked well for me. I quite liked it, actually.
I found it very hit and miss.
Sure. Okay.
I think there were certain bits where it worked tremendously. I loved the bit where they were disembarking, and you got the bagpipes. I thought that was really good. Yeah. And I was hoping it was actually going to go into a proper tune.
But it doesn't.
It sort of falls away, and you think, oh, that's disappointing. I think that's one of the problems with the thing is that every time you think it goes to a crescendo and it sounds like you're going to get a tune, sort of collapses on itself. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't follow through. If you like, it feels.
Yeah.
And I did find it one or two places. It was intrusive.
Right. I didn't find it intrusive at all. I actually thought it was fine the whole way through. But it's an interesting film. I'm curious what. I have not spoken to anyone that doesn't know Dune that's seen it, and I'm really curious what someone like that, because this film does not hold your hand at all. Like it barely explains anything. If I hadn't read the book, I'm wondering how well I would have got on watching the movie. So I'm really curious. I want my dad to watch it, who's never read Dune, and I'm really curious what he'll make of it.
Has he seen the movie?
Yeah, years ago.
Okay, so
he'll have some frame of reference, But they explain some things, but not everything. Like they don't actually say where the spice comes from. They kind of say they're mining spice and the worms are really dangerous, but they don't say that the worms are creating the spice or anything like that. It's just kind of like, hey, there's spice and we're digging it, and there's these worm things. It's like it seems weird when you've got such a long runtime that they didn't kind of explain some things like that. It's like you could have probably got that in there along the way, but generally I think
they hinted at it enough that I think
sure, but this is what I mean. They hinted it enough for me. I just wonder how someone who's never read the book will find it, because there is a lot of like, we're just going to assume you know what's going on, or at least you're happy to wait and find out in the next parts, or get it fleshed out in like expanded universe stuff, or expanded media.
I did think, again, this is going to be sounding like I'm being really negative on this movie, but
this is the problem with reviews, right? Because it's like we both agree it's a really good movie.
Yeah,
we're just talking about some of the problems. It's not negative. It's just I loved it overall. You liked it a lot overall. That's fine.
When so there's a kind of spoilers really, but
it's been a couple of weeks.
Paul and Lady Jessica are escaping it at the end.
Yeah.
I thought that went on way too long.
I was ready for the movie to end there. I thought that was going to be where it ended.
There was a bit where they got to a point where you thought, okay, that's where they should leave it.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it hits a point
sort of twice.
Yeah, it kind of hits a point where you're like, this is a logical place to stop. And then it continued, and you're like, okay, this is a logical place to stop. And then it continues on a few minutes more beyond that, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there was at least 2 points where I thought, okay, that's where you end the movie. But it carried on, and it was a bit like, why are we seeing this? Because this is just kind of not exactly rehashing what you've already shown us, but it was just like they were dragging it out. It felt unnecessarily dragging.
Okay,
which I thought
I didn't mind where they left it. I was happy with that, because I saw some complaints that are like, this movie just ends, and I was like, well, I don't think it does actually. I think the ending's fine. But I do agree there were a couple of points where I felt like, I guess this is the end now. This is where they're going to stop, and they continued, and I was a bit like, oh, okay, I
think there was a section that they could have probably removed and just squished the end up a bit, just to make it run like
a little smoother.
Yeah, I thought that. But that, again, it's a minor complaint.
It is absolutely.
It's not a deal breaker in any way, because I think it was still great. And again, Javier Bardem, who was amazing in the very small part that you see it. I mean, we're going to get lots more of the Fremen in the second part.
Of course, yeah.
So you didn't get any of that. But I think it would have been nicer to see a little more set up in certain places, a little more set up for the next movie. But I guess they kind of wanted to do as much as they could without doing everything. Yeah. I think because that's one of the problems with the Lynch movie, is that there is so much crammed in.
It just
that it does become a little like sensory overload at times.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of bad stuff you can say about the Harkonnens in Lynch's version.
Yeah, for sure.
Like over the top and all that sort of stuff. However, I adore.
Yeah, I love it for what it is. The Lynch movie is like very corny and cheesy in places, but I love it for all of those things.
I can honestly say I prefer the Lynch movie,
and that's fine. It depends, what. I think for me, like I think I prefer this adaptation. But I do think that depending on my mood, I'd go with the Lynch movie sometimes, for sure. I think it would depend on what mood I'm in. What kind of Dune, what flavor of Dune do I want today?
Yeah.
Because I do have a real love for the Lynch movie. I don't care what people hate on that movie. I'm a massive fan of the books. I know what that film does and doesn't do for the books.
Exactly,
but I still love it. And that... is it Spice Diver, that cut?
Yeah, the Spice Diver cut. I would highly recommend.
Oh, so good.
The Spice Diver cut.
Apparently, they're going to release it.
Even better. It's amazing.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be released.
Yeah.
Officially, like on a Blu-ray.
Is it Germany, I think?
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
I think so. I'm sure I heard that.
If that's got an English translation, I might have to try and pick it up. Because I don't want a German dubbed version. I learnt German in school, but I've forgotten all of it. So
I don't know about 3 words in German.
Yeah. One of those things. It was like I was quite good at German in school, and then the second I left school, all of it went out of my brain, and that was the end of it. So, but yeah. So overall, I thought it was a fantastic film. I didn't mind the length. I didn't mind the ending.
No, I didn't think the length was a problem. I mean, the end bit aside, I think they could have shortened that, but I don't think that's a length problem. I think it's a thematic
problem. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But yeah, in general, I absolutely loved it. I'm very excited for the next part.
Yeah, I think this I know it sounds I'm being terribly negative about it, but I still think it's a great movie. It's still
I must be honest. I'm not so much a fan of the expanded Dune stuff, but the first 3 Dune books I'm a big fan of. And as much as I was super excited to see Dune, I can't wait to see part 2. If Villeneuve gets to do Dune Messiah, I will be so happy. Like that's a book I would love to see adapted.
I think we're getting a Bene Gesserit series as well, aren't we?
Yeah, that could be fascinating. I'm wondering if that's in the same universe or
I think so.
What the deal is.
I think so. From what I've heard, I think it's the same universe.
Yeah, that would be really cool. But yeah, so Dune, highly recommended. Yeah.
I think that's it. I think if you genuinely want to see a beautifully done movie, with amazing performances, and you want to see something that is slightly challenging in a sci-fi way, not in a it's not Star Wars, it's
no
it's a lot more thoughtful.
In many ways, that's what I love about it. It's the anti-Star Wars.
It's not Star Wars, but if you genuinely want to see a brilliant sci-fi adaptation, then I would definitely recommend this.
Absolutely,
because it's despite what I've said, my negative thoughts on it, I think the problem is I'm so attached to the Lynch movie that's
it's difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult, and you get used to things looking a certain way and being a certain way.
I still think it's a great movie. I still think it's a fantastic adaptation.
Sting wasn't even in this one.
Yeah, where's Sting? Goddammit.
But yeah, highly recommended.
But just to see Sting in the background in some scene.
Just put him in. CGI him in.
Make him one of the Fremen. It would be fine.
Yeah, that would be great. But yes, highly recommended. So, what else have you watched, Matt?
So I have seen In the Earth.
In the Earth. Yes, tell me all about In the Earth.
So this is Ben Wheatley's latest offering, and he basically did it during lockdown.
Right.
So he got a small crew, a small group of actors, and he wrote it all during the pandemic. So basically, in this movie, there is a worldwide pandemic, and people are dying. And
I wonder where he got the inspiration for that from.
Exactly, yes. So people are obviously looking for cures and things, and we basically, the opening is very strange. It's somebody breaking rocks with a sledgehammer, and then they take this bit of flint and they bury it in the ground point upwards, and then they hide it with some grass. I think that's a weird thing, planting stones. Anyway, we're then introduced to Martin, who is a scientist, and he is coming into this. I think it's supposed to be like a tourist area in this wood, in this forest, and it's an isolated. The people that are there now are isolated scientists working on different things, and he's there to join somebody who he worked with before and was an ex-lover, this Professor Wendell.
Right.
And he gets, he's told about, he gets sprayed down and stuff, and he's told that Professor Wendell is deep in the forest, miles away, and it's in a forest outside Bristol, which I thought was cool. So he's told, someone will take you into, to see her tomorrow. It's like a couple of days trek through the forest.
Sure.
And you're told about that in the 70s, some kids disappeared in this wood. Some people have gone missing in this wood at some point. People, there's a guy that says people go a bit funny in the forest.
Right.
And there's this painting in there in the sort of like the tea room he goes in, and it's a sort of big, sort of 1600s looking folk piece with this weird looking sort of druidy thing and a standing stone and like headless corpses drumming and weird things hidden in the trees. And he's told that it's I'll write it down because I could not remember the name of it. Parnug Feg, who is the spirit of the forest.
Okay.
So he says it's that's a bit weird, and they're like, yeah, well, they got like pictures the kids have drawn of her, and it's a sort of local legend and all that sort of stuff. And there's he's basically introduced this character called Alma, played by Elora Torchia. I should say Joel Fry plays Martin, and she's going to be his guide. She's going to take him through the forest, and off they go. They go through the forest, and all seems sort of long treks, and you get the sort of the feeling that Martin's a bit put upon, and he's a bit of a
right.
He's not the bravest of souls, let's say. And during the night, they get assaulted. They get beaten in their tents, and when they wake up the next day, they find that some of their equipment has been taken, their phones and their radios have been smashed, and their shoes have been taken.
Okay.
So they go through the forest. Martin ends up injured. He steps on something, obviously calling back to the initial setup there.
Yeah.
He gets this big gash in his foot, and Alma bandages him up, gives him a crutch, and then they come across Zach, played by the amazing Reece Shearsmith, who has been living out in the woods. He says, "Oh, I know you're a park ranger." He says to Alma, he says, I've been watching you for a while. I didn't know whether to come and help you or not because I didn't want to get into trouble."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "But I thought, I saw that you were injured, so I thought I'd better come and help you." So he takes them to his tent where he's got quite a big setup, and he says, "Oh, don't go in there. I've got some stuff set up in that room." And he gives them food. He stitches his foot, which is a great scene. And then he basically drugs them.
Oh shit!
And he undresses them and puts them in weird sort of clothes that he's arranged.
Right.
And he arranges them in interesting tableaus with pagan symbols and things, and he takes photos of them.
Right.
And he keeps them there. And I don't want to go into any further than that. I won't.
No. Yeah, cool.
Any spoilers and stuff. But Zach is trying to talk to this Parnug Feg character. He's trying to sort of become one with nature, and there's a sort of an idea that so the Martin's, when he comes to the thing, he says he's working on the. I'm never going to remember the name that he uses, but it's to do with the symbiosis of fungus and plants,
right?
And how root systems,
mm-hmm.
and how this whole part of the forest, apparently, that it's he's supposed to be there looking into more reliable and efficient ways of growing crops,
right.
and it's looking at the root system of this thing. I've been terrified of fungus ever since I saw that. Have you ever seen those? I can't remember what they're called. There's a certain fungus that gets into ants, and then it grows this sort of antennae out of the ant.
Yes, I have seen that.
It controls the ant,
and
it makes the ant climb up onto the top of branches and things so that it can get the sun. It's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen. For me, fungus is really, really scary.
That's fine. That's been the inspiration for, I think, The Last of Us and stuff was all inspired by that, wasn't it?
The Girl with All the Gifts.
Yes.
Great. One with the sort of the.
That's a great movie, actually.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't get talked about enough.
No, I really enjoyed it. I
think it's a great movie. So, I will say this is a Ben Wheatley movie.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like a Ben Wheatley movie.
Yeah. So Ben Wheatley is in my opinion, he is probably the greatest working director right now. He is right up there with Villeneuve for me.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He is Marmite though.
He is complete Marmite. He makes very challenging, very I would say almost eccentric.
Yeah.
In some cases, movies that will try your patience, and I think I personally loved this movie. I thought it was really, really good. The performances are fantastic, particularly Reece Shearsmith, who is this crazy guy living in the forest. Alora Torsia, who plays Alma, I've not seen her before, but I thought her performance was amazing. She's really good. Is this sort of completely out of her depth park ranger. The performances. I mean, it's only really, for the majority of it, 2 people, 3 people, 4. It's very, very small thing, and it will definitely test your patience. It's
sure.
It's not a long movie, but I think some people will find that it feels long, unless you're prepared to go with it. And I think people will be massively disappointed with the ending. I personally thought it was a great way to end.
Okay.
But like I said, Ben Wheatley is a very Marmite director. I think I think this is closer to something like A Field in England or The Kill List than it is to his adaptation of Rebecca or High Rise. I think it's much more. It's got it has the folk horror elements, but it also has the sort of this idea of with something like this pandemic. It's how it's got this idea of, well, the scientists don't know enough, and the holistic people don't know enough either. It's like they've all got their ideas and they've all got but nature will do what nature does, sort of thing. It has that real feel of we don't understand this thing, we're doing our best to sort of find all the answers, but nature keeps kicking us in the ass. It has that real feel of that about it, and I really loved it. I thought it was great. It's not his best work. I still think Kill List is his his greatest film, but I think it's right up there with A Field in England, and but it will genuinely, it will mileage will vary greatly, because I think Ben Wheatley is one of those directors who doesn't really care about your sensibilities, and he doesn't care about making a movie for a mass audience. I don't think.
He makes them for Ben Wheatley audiences, and that's fine. Yeah. That suits him fine.
Which can be a detriment.
Well, it can be, but he's got a big enough following. I think he knows his audience at this point, and I think he.
If you want to see something genuinely weird and well performed, well directed, there's a great soundtrack. There's an idea that not exactly spoiling anything, but Professor Wendell, when you do find her, she's working on sound and light. That I should say, if you are prone to epilepsy or anything like that, do not watch this movie. It is strobe heavy.
Right.
It is very strobe heavy and very choppily edited, with very quick edits and very quick flashes of images. So if you are prone to any sort of epilepsy or seizures, do not watch this movie. It is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you can put up with that sort of stuff, it's great. The soundtrack, I said, it's amazing. It's really weird and synthy and great. I really enjoy
awesome.
it. Yeah, it's a brilliant Ben Wheatley movie. But what more can I say?
Yeah,
I think I can completely understand why somebody would not like it, because I think that's the same with almost all Ben Wheatley movies. I can understand why people wouldn't like it. For me, it's a brilliant movie.
Yeah, that's I think the same could be said about a lot of Ben Wheatley stuff, to be honest. So yeah. I will definitely be checking it out. I'm a fan of his style, so it works for me.
Have you seen Field in England?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as weird as that sometimes. Right. I don't think there's certain bits in Field in England where you go, wow, this is really out there.
Yeah,
I don't quite get that, but it does towards the end. But yeah, I mean, the Field in England with the scene with, again, it's Reece Shearsmith again, when he comes out of the tent after God knows what's happened to him. That scene in Field in England is phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
I completely. I'm a complete Ben Wheatley shield. So
yes, so a recommendation if you're into Ben Wheatley stuff. I think at this point, you know what you're getting yourself in for with Ben Wheatley.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, to the point where it almost feels like you probably know if you're going to like it or not before you watch it.
I think
so. This week, around Doctor Who, I did watch a film, and that film was The Harder They Fall, directed by James Samwell, and also I think he wrote the screenplay, which is interesting, and maybe the story. So this cast is ridiculously good, like in terms of talent. Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, the list goes on and on and on. Fantastic cast. A relatively by the numbers in terms of plot Western revenge story. Basically it's kind of like it's a fictional film starring real life cowboys, effectively. They've kind of like they've taken famous cowboys and lawmen and whatnot, and they've put them in this fictionalized story. And
I think the one for me that made me want to watch it the most actually was Delroy Lindo is playing Bass Reeves.
Yes, and he's great again. Fantastic.
Bass Reeves is an amazing. He was a bounty hunter that pretty much brought in all of his clients alive.
Yeah.
And he was the basis for the Lone Ranger.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was the basis for the Lone Ranger, which gets very little, doesn't get talked about. But yeah, he was the basis. Bass Reeves was the basis for the Lone Ranger.
I did not know that. That's interesting. Learning things here on The Movies Made Us Do It. So basically the movie kind of opens with Nat Love, and he's like basically having dinner with his parents, and then Rufus Buck bursts in with his gang, and they gun down his parents, and they carve a cross into young child Nat's forehead, and then years later he's now, Nat is now an outlaw, and he's got his own gang, and he's going to go after Buck's gang one at a time. Buck's currently in prison. He's being transported, and he gets obviously set free, takes over a nearby town, and then basically we have Nat's gang going to get revenge. And overall, I kind of enjoyed it. It's very much trying to be Tarantino. It's pretty much. I don't think it's not even like they're trying to hide that fact. It's like no. Even from the trailer, I think you can see
the trailer.
Yeah,
you definitely get what they're going for in the trailer.
Yeah, you get what they're going for, and I think you either go with that conceit or you don't. It's kind of, it's very silly in places. It's very gory. Characters do some mind-numbingly stupid things at points, which was probably my biggest issue with the movie. Yeah, a couple of times. Well, it's a couple of things, but I think sometimes it's in the service of like having that Tarantino humor or swagger about it. But you'll have a moment like early on. There's a group of bandits that are attacked by a sniper, and he's like starts picking them off, so they all jump off their horses and they take cover, and they're kind of trying to have a shootout with this guy, and then another character appears behind them and just starts talking, and he's like cocky gunslinger, and they all kind of just turn around, and then one of them even stands up and starts talking to them, and you're like, the sniper, and it's like obviously this they're partners, the two characters, but you're like, why don't you just shoot him?
Yeah.
Just turn around and shoot him straight away in the head. Like, what the hell? There's moments like that where you're like, okay, I can see why they did it, because then it becomes a joke. It's like a jokey, funny moment. But like on the one hand, you've got that kind of silliness, and then on the other hand, they try and take things really serious and really, really dark in places. And yeah, like I said, some of the characters sometimes make some really dumb decisions. Like, Stagecoach Mary at one point in the movie, they've got the town, they're overlooking the town. She's like, I'm going to go down there and find out what's going on, find out what their numbers are like and whatever. And to do that, she just rides through the town and then walks into the bar and just gets captured. You're like, yeah, you're an idiot. Like, I don't know what were you expecting to happen, and then later you get moments where the groups of people they just walk into town. You're just like, why are you just walking in a like line? You're just like, line up and walk into town and just hope for the best. You're like, it's moments like that, and it all looks cool. It looks like, really stylized and it's fine, but I don't know. I guess it's fine because it is just the style of the movie. I think that's what I think people who try to emulate Tarantino never quite get the Tarantino is very good at judging the right moment to have a funny, yes,
and the right moment to make it horrific. It's a balance that I think Tarantino is always done masterfully. Maybe not always, but mostly gets completely right. And I think anybody who tries to sort of do the same sort of thing struggles with that balance. And it sounds like
it does struggle in places. For me, it struggled in places. But I did enjoy it. I had fun. It's got some great, action set pieces. It's well shot and directed for the most part. Although there were a couple of shots in the movie where it was clear that it was a set. Like they do some really nice camera work, but sometimes like the camera's too high or too far out, and you can clearly see that some of these buildings obviously don't have the back of a building, because obviously they don't have the back of a building. It's only a couple. It's not like a deal breaker though. It's occasional. But it is kind of like, I love the direction you're going for, but you probably need to consider things like that occasionally, because occasionally it's like, oh, that looks a bit ropey because I can kind of see that where that building ends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, really well directed.
I presume Idris Elba's not actually in it very much.
He's in it enough, actually. He's in it. I mean, he's the main villain of the movie.
Yeah, I got.
He's not. Yeah, he's certainly not in it the whole way through, but he had enough scenes, you know. And again, the cast is fantastic. The acting's great. It's just some of the characters and their decisions left me scratching my head a bit. And like you said, it is kind of, whenever those moments happen, like now that we're talking about it, I can kind of see in my head. You're absolutely right. They're trying to do the Tarantino thing. They're trying to do a funny here, but it's like you said, situational. And sometimes you're like, that makes like, you would have just got shot straight in the face right there. I don't know what you were thinking, you know. And like, why would you walk into the enemy literally run by the enemy, and you just walk in or you ride in on horseback slowly, and then it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Like, obviously, that's not going to work out, is it? You know. But yeah, for the most part, it was great. It was good fun. It's a very run of the mill Western plot. You know. Yeah. It's been done better before. But it's fun and entertaining here. I had a good time. So yeah, it's. I would say
that's one of the things with westerns. I think that the you know, the gang revenge thing is a big
staple of westerns.
Of westerns, isn't it? So I think, you know, that's, as long as you know that, I don't think it's a problem. It's
no, and I don't know that. I don't even know if you want to call it a twist ending, but I saw the ending coming a mile away.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, by the certainly towards the end, I was like, I think I see what's going on here, and then it got to the reveal, and I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going on. But it was like, okay, cool. It was fine though.
That didn't sound too good.
It's a minor thing. I wouldn't say like the whole movie doesn't, you know, it's not like the whole movie depends on that twist. It was just like a reveal that was like, okay, I kind of saw that coming, but fine. But no, I had fun. I had fun. It was entertaining. It's got some nice action, and it's quite gory in places as well, which is always a plus for me. I quite enjoy a bit of gore.
Yes.
Yeah, good fun. So what else have you been watching?
Okay. So I have seen The Guilty.
The Guilty, yes. So I don't know anything about this movie, but we were talking before we started this that I was saying that I actually really like this kind of movie when it's done well.
Yeah.
So how was The Guilty, and what's it all about?
So it's directed by Anthony Fuqua, who'd previously done the Equalizer, the Southpaw, Training Day.
Yeah.
You know,
pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's also got Riley Keough in it, Peter Skarsgård. It's got little appearances. Well, I mean, only vocal ones from Bill Burr and Paul Dano, who would, like, you know, they have very small sort of like emergency calls sort of stuff. So. Jake Gyllenhaal is a police officer who has been demoted to the dispatch desk.
Right.
So you don't know what it you know, at first you don't know what it is that he's done, but it's clear that he's done something to get, you know, something bad for him to get demoted to the dispatch desk.
Sure.
And he is an absolute ball of rage. He has serious fucking anger management problems. He's actually quite an unlikable character.
Okay.
But you go with what's happening. So he's there. He obviously clearly doesn't fucking want to be there. He's obviously going through something with his wife, but he wants to talk to his kid, sort of thing, before she goes to bed. And he gets these phone calls from people. Like, there's a guy who is saying he's been I've got some woman she jumped in, this woman stole my wallet and my laptop and stuff, and he's like, okay, what does she look like? Well, she had pink hair and she had high heels on, and he's like, right, how did she get, where are you? In my car. How did she get in your car? She just jumped in. Right, okay. And that's quite funny. I like that. He's getting these, so he gets these calls. So then he gets this call from a woman called Emily, and she's clearly crying, and she's hinting that she's talking to someone else. She's
right,
and he figures out. He says, are you you're talking you're pretending to talk to your kid, your daughter? Yep. And he's like, where are you? What's happening? She says, I'm in a car traveling. I've been, I've been like abducted. I can only, he says, right, just yes or no answers. Pretend you're talking, and he's talking to this woman, and he's saying, do you know the person who's there? Do you know who do you know who he is? Do you know where you're going? Do you know, and she's answering these questions.
Yeah.
And then, it goes silent, and he's desperately, while this is going on, LA's on fire.
Okay, so what a forest fire kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hills are burning. There's so the police are overtaxed.
The emergency services are a little busy. Yeah.
Yeah, completely,
yeah,
overrun with calls and stuff. And he's trying to, get police officers to go down this motorway and find, or highway, whatever. He's trying to get them to we need more information. We can't just drive up. We need he needs to find out what vehicle she's in. She's in a van. I think it's white.
Mm-hmm.
And then the officers are like, we can't see shit here. There's smoke everywhere. It's like we need more. And he's desperately trying to find where she is and what's going on. And he finds that that her children are alone in their home.
Yeah.
So he's talking to this little girl, and this little girl saying, that my brother's asleep. My mother told me not to speak to police because, they might take me away. And he's like, no, I'm a good guy. I'm here to help. I need, and he's trying to get some police to go to the house to get them. He finds out who has captured her. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I do not want to spoil this movie in the slightest. It's a remake of a Dutch movie, I think it is.
Right.
I think it's Dutch. I'm not sure. It's a remake of a foreign movie. It's, even though you see a few people in the place where he is in the call center, there's a few other characters that want to wear it. This is almost entirely Jake Gyllenhaal. It's all on him.
As a lot of these movies tend to be.
Yeah.
You're generally watching one person, so it relies on them. Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic in the right role, though.
He is amazing, and he is great. And he is this almost completely unlikable character, but you want to know his deal. You want to know what's going on with him. You want to know.
Yeah.
And once you get this phone call, you want to know what the hell's happened to this poor woman.
Yeah.
Who's got her, where they're taking her, what the hell's going on, where her kids are, and what's happened with them. It's a lot of very intense close-ups of Jake Gyllenhaal. So
even the poster
if you don't like
is
looking at Jake Gyllenhaal, then this is not the movie for you.
Yeah, even the poster is very close up.
Yeah.
Uncomfortably close.
And like I said, he's a very angry individual who has got no patience, and he's shouting at these other operators from the different divisions and things that he's trying to get in contact with. And his story obviously unfolds as well as the movie goes on, and you find out what he did, and it all unfolds beautifully. It's a really, really nicely done movie. It's, like I said, for a small, I don't imagine the budget for this is very big at all, because it's pretty much all in one,
right?
In one area. It's in one set of offices. That's it. And it's just him. And you get lots of the phone calls from other events and things. While LA is burning in the background on these big screens and stuff.
Yeah, which is a great, obviously a horrible situation, but a great plot device.
Yeah, it really ups the tension of them trying to find, this woman with the limited resources that they have. You know, and his frustration. That he can't do anything. He can't get out there. He can't do it himself. He talks to his partner. He's getting his partner to do things and stuff. And he's more than willing to do, almost illegal things in trying to track down this person who's got this woman. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's some real twists that are just great. Really, really brilliant. And this is what I mean. Gyllenhaal's had some amazing performances. Have you seen Nightcrawler?
Yes, yeah, fantastic.
He's so tremendous in that role.
Really good.
And he brings that intensity to this role. He is really over. I mean, like I said, he's not a likable character, but because of what the situation and what's going on, you want to know about him. You stay with him. I think he does such a good job of. They do such a good job of dragging you in, pulling you in. I think.
See, I feel the same way about another similar film, although most people seem to dislike it. Is Phone Booth, which I think they did a fantastic job with a very unlikable character.
I've never seen Phone Booth.
Oh, I really like Phone Booth. You know the story of Phone Booth,
yes,
right?
Yeah. He's in a phone booth.
But he's a total asshole. He's a complete piece of shit. But by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, I'm with you. He's really, really wasn't a nice person. But the whole point of the movie is this sniper is gonna like teach you a lesson and make you change your ways and stuff. But you do, and I think when those movies are done right, and these are the best kind of films for that, because we've said before, it's very difficult to watch a film sometimes if everyone's completely unlikable. But when it's such a character study of like one person and it focuses on that one person, if you've got the right actor portraying that character, and you can see that there's more to it than just I'm an asshole. There's depth to that character. Then it is very compelling, and I think it works. I'm really excited to see this movie actually.
Yeah, it's really good. It's on Netflix. It's been out for a couple of weeks. I think it's relatively new. It's really beautifully directed. It's a great performance by stars. And Emily, the girl who's calling him is Riley. I say played by. I mean, it's just her voice that you hear. Riley Keough, who the emotion that you get from her character is amazing. It's really great. For just a vocal performance, it is beautiful, absolutely fantastic, really, really good. I can't recommend it enough. It's a great movie. Yeah,
I was just scrolling through Jake Gyllenhaal's filmography, and it's amazing. It's like Brokeback Mountain, Nightcrawler, Donnie Darko, Southpaw, and then it gets to like The Day After Tomorrow. It's like, oh shit, I forgot he was in that fucking crap. But mostly,
I actually really enjoyed Day After Tomorrow. It's rubbish, but I really enjoy it.
I remember not liking it in the cinema, so I don't think I've not gone back to it. Granted, but one of my least favorite disaster movies.
Want to go back to it?
No,
because I'm sure it would, but I remember really enjoying it and just thinking, this is one of those terrible.
It's so bad. It's not as bad as like 2012 or 2010 or whatever that was. That movie that was probably the worst one. But The Day After Tomorrow, I always remember I always find it really funny because that movie starts off with like this guy who's like, theoretically this could happen in the next like 100 years, and then it's like, oh wait, it's happening now. It's like, okay, wow, we went from 100 years to tomorrow. Like, okay, shit.
there's some great shots in that. I love the journey across New York and stuff. It's great. Yeah, it's not a great movie, but I really
forgot he was even in it until I just scrolled through that. I was like, oh god, oh boy. But I'm sure he was good in it. I can't remember.
That can't be that long after Donnie Darko, is it?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think that was one of his earlier films, wasn't it?
Yes.
But yeah, it's amazing. I was looking, it's funny though, isn't it? Like the passage of time. I just saw Brokeback Mountain on there, and I was like, oh yeah. And in my head, Brokeback's like kind of not that old of a film. And then you look at the date, you're like, oh god, actually, it really is. Like it was a long time ago.
It's got to be like 20 years old now.
It's pretty old. It's pretty old. So But in any case, what else have you watched, Matt?
So I saw Bright Samurai Soul.
Yes, the movie I gave away right at the start of this show. Tell me all about it, because the art style looks tremendous.
Yeah, so this is a Netflix anime.
And Netflix have got good pedigree for anime. They done some good
they're,
anime.
They're getting a lot better, aren't they? They I think they really are. So it's directed by Kyohei Ishigaru, who has previously done Psycho-Pass and a few other things that I am not going to attempt to pronounce. Lancer and Masks. He's done some pretty good things anyway. So this is in the same world as Bright, the Will Smith movie.
Really?
Yes, it's the same world as
okay.
Bright.
I remember me and you were like, we quite liked Bright. It wasn't.
It's not a great movie, but I actually enjoyed it, and I know it got a lot of shit. It's got a lot of negative.
This makes me excited, because my biggest criticism with Bright was, as much as I enjoyed it, because it was quite, run of the mill. I love buddy cop stuff, so that worked for me. My biggest complaint with Bright is that everything you see going on in the background seemed way more interesting than what was going on with our characters. So I'm hoping now that it's an anime, they can do it. So, they can go crazy.
So this, it's a similar story. It's to do with a wand and elves.
Yeah.
And Bright. And the main characters are Izu, who is a samurai.
You've got to try and do Japanese names.
And Raiden, who is a orc mercenary.
Nice.
And then we also have Sonya. So, no, we do not.
No, we do not. Okay.
So Sonya, who is this? At the beginning, there is this. You see this great big battle between different factions.
Yeah.
And lots of death, and basically you see someone use a wand. There's this big pillar of light, and then it moves to a couple of years later.
Right.
And this war seems to have been raging for a while, but this war seems to have calmed down. Something doesn't really explain exactly what happened, but
I seem to remember Bright having the same issue. Like, it didn't bother explaining some things. It was like, what's going on?
A problem.
Okay.
So now Izu is working as the sort of he's kind of the guard of a brothel, and Chihaya, who is the head, the sort of the high courtesan of this place, she's there, and
This is like feudal Japan, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's feudal Japan. Oh, well, it's oh, for fuck's sake, what do they call it? The Meiji Restoration.
Okay,
so
yeah.
1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So she's the head. Chihaya is the head courtesan here, and Sonya is their new acquisition, which is a bit weird and creepy. She's this little elf girl, and she is. Chihaya says, "Oh, she can be my my servant. She'll bring her up to me. She'll do all the work for me." And while this is going on, this bad guy turns up with a load of all sorts of races, thugs. You've got gnomes and orcs and dwarves and goblins, all sorts of stuff, and they basically attack the brothel. And Raiden is their big muscle. He's this great big orc dude who is sniffing out this elf, and basically for reasons of the Bright and this wand, they're searching for elves. There's a big fight. Chihaya dies. The wand is used again, and they sort of escape. So they basically Izo and Raiden says he doesn't want to do this mercenary stuff anymore. He wants, this girl reminds him of someone he knew before who was kind to him, the only like person who's ever called him by his real name, and this girl reminds him, so he's going to protect her.
Right.
So basically, it then becomes this journey for this little girl to get to where elves live, and they're protecting her while on this journey.
Okay.
The art style, it's CG animation, which I know rubs a lot of people up the wrong way.
I don't mind it if it's done well enough. I used to hate it with a passion.
Yeah, same here.
I've got over
it.
But
it's got a lot better. I mean,
yeah, it's got better. Yeah.
Just look at that Godzilla one. The animation of Godzilla is amazing.
I love it.
So this, I've seen a lot of people. It's very stylized, and I've seen a lot of people say that they didn't like how plain it is, and how the when they go into the forest, there's no detail to the plants and things. That, I think, is a completely conscious effort to make it look like the paintings.
I was just going to say, it looks like paintings. I'm looking at stills, and
the color palette and the way they've done the backgrounds and the buildings and things is basically how the Japanese paintings of the time look.
Yeah, I like that.
You look at any 1800s painting, a Japanese painting of Tokyo at the time.
Yeah.
It has this look to it, and I personally thought it was beautiful. It's really, really well done. They've got some great fight scenes in this. I think that the fight animation is amazing. There's some really good fight scenes. What I will say is, it feels like you're coming into a movie halfway through.
Right.
It's not set up terribly well. You're not really sure what's going on overall. It doesn't do a great job of telling you, the world, I guess, enough. And it feels like it should have been a series.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like they should have done it in parts and fleshed it out a little, because it's sort of, the girl gets kidnapped. They have to go and rescue her. There are fight scenes on boats and things and stuff. It feels so. It's like, and you're there at the end. It's like, oh fuck, what the hell? Where's the rest? It's like,
right.
It's only an hour and 20 minutes. It feels very short, but it doesn't feel fleshed out enough. I think it suffers from the same thing Bright felt, like you said.
It's interesting that they made the same mistake twice.
They really have.
Especially because I thought, I was like, oh my god, the Bright universe, which I actually liked. I bought into that idea. I like that magic's always what would the world look like if magic had always been around in the modern day? I loved that.
And there was more races.
Great. But it's like, show us it, and I can see things like you look in the background of Bright, and it's like there's fucking dragons flying around up there. Why are we not seeing that?
Both of these things should have been series.
Yeah.
They should have been series, because I think they're so chopped up that it doesn't lend itself to the world that they're trying to build.
Yeah.
They're trying to build a really interesting world and not doing a very good job at it, and this suffers from that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful enough.
I like the visuals. Looking at the stills, I really like it.
The visuals are great. But the overall story is so sort of it's straight up. You know the beats. You've seen this story before. It's they protect the little girl.
Yeah, sure.
Get to this place. Do this. The bad guy obviously wants to resurrect the Dark Lord, and he wants this elf to use this wand to resurrect the Dark Lord, so that they can come back and start their evil plan again, I guess, that sort of thing. So it's not doing anything that you haven't seen before, and it's not doing it well either. It's really disappointing. I really wanted to like it, and I did enjoy it while I was watching it. The characters are okay. The sort of interaction between Izo and Raiden are quite fun. They're quite nice. They're quite good characters. But there are like the twists like you can see coming. Like Izo at one point during after the war and before he was a brothel guard, something happened with his lord, and he now has one eye, and you see the beats of that coming a mile off. You know exactly where that's going. That story is like, okay, well this is going there. That's what that is. So it's short enough that you can just cram it in and watch something. But I think there are better things out there that you could be watching.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a shame, but I'll probably check it out due to its short length. To be honest.
It's worth checking out just for the visuals. The visuals, I think, it's beautifully done, and it's not the worst thing ever. It's not terrible either, but it's just not very good.
There's certainly
it's worse because it's like exactly like Bright. It shows promise.
Yeah, that's the problem, and I still think there's promise in this Bright universe. I just want them to do a really solid, sequel or something.
They could just do an animated series.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think even with the characters from Bright, I think if you just animated those characters, you don't even need to bring back Will Smith for it.
No.
I mean, he's pretty precious about his characters, so I don't know whether.
Yeah.
But anybody could, any half decent voice actor could do Will Smith's.
Yes, I would imagine so. Yeah.
So I think if they did a nice sort of series to sort of do a properly flesh out the world, I think that would be really good. It like I said, it feels like it could be something, but it just falls short, which is a shame.
That is a shame. Oh well, I think that's it, isn't it? Is that everything?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely some movies in there. Certainly Dune, I think we both, safe to say, we both recommend. I certainly recommend The Harder They Fall if you want, somewhat run-of-the-mill but Tarantino-esque style Western. Good fun.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend In the Earth if you're a Ben Wheatley fan.
Yes, and I do really want to see The Guilty, actually. That probably of all of the ones. Yeah. Because I think Jake Gyllenhaal is a great actor, so I can totally imagine him pulling off that role.
Yeah, because I mean, look at in a similar way to Nightcrawler, his character in Nightcrawler is really unlikable.
Oh yeah.
You follow him because of what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have we got any news or anything before we bugger off?
There's not
much. No, I was just thinking that. I was like, I don't have much.
There was have you seen the Boba Fett trailer?
Oh yeah, I did see that. I don't care.
Yeah, I think
I don't care about Star Wars anymore. I'm sorry.
I know it didn't do anything for me either. I was how many years have we been wanting a Boba Fett series?
I never have. I don't care.
I did. I think.
It's funny for me because I've always been one of those people that's like, I don't get it. Like, I get Boba Fett looked really cool, but he was fucking shite. In the original movies, he's useless at his fucking job, and he's basically dies a comedy death. And it's always been like, yeah, he looks really cool, but like at no point during that set of movies did he show me that he was in any way competent.
I think I was the right age to just go.
Totally.
It's Boba Fett. He just looks. Oh no,
he looks cool as fuck. And obviously, the expanded universe. The expanded universe did a great job of making it cool. But now, obviously, they're giving him his due, and that's really cool. I'm just not interested in new Star Wars. They've done it for me. Like, I'm just done. I'm done with it.
It is difficult.
I mean, maybe one day, maybe one day I'll do the Disney Plus subscription. Maybe I will. And if I do that, I probably will binge all of this stuff. But
I think The Mandalorian was good. I think that's the best.
I watched most of season 1.
I really liked the Mandalorian. I thought they did a pretty good job with that.
I enjoyed what I saw of it. Yeah.
I think I was. I watched most of Mandalorian season 1, and then Rise of Skywalker came out, and I watched that, and then I was like, I don't want to watch Star Wars anymore. I'm done. I'm just done with it. I don't care anymore. So I should go back and watch Mandalorian season 2 because I hear it's great, and I know the big reveals and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it looks fine. It looks fine. They've got the actor who played Django back to play Boba, and that's cool.
Morrison, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. I was drawing a blank. Who's a terrific actor, actually. I think he's a really good actor. So that's cool. I'm
not sure I like the idea of Fett being a gang boss.
It doesn't really suit his character at all. But I guess, they're
going to try and make him a hero, aren't they? They're going to try and redeem him in some way, and I think that I don't want that for Fett.
No.
I want him to be a...
Yeah, I want him to be a...
I want him to be a bad guy, to be honest.
Or not even a bad guy, just
he's not a bad guy.
A gun for hire who doesn't give a shit.
Exactly.
Because the thing is like, I thought that's what we were going to get with The Mandalorian, but then The Mandalorian ended up being like, Lone Wolf and Cub, and that's fine, and I was kind of happy with that, actually. But then it's like, so we still had space for a Boba Fett series where we just got the gun for hire doesn't, morally ambiguous, doesn't care, character. And I guess we're not going to get that because now we're going to have, he's trying to sow peace, and it's like, okay. We'll see, though. I'm sure, I'm sure Star Wars fans are thrilled. And a decade ago, so would I be. But, a lot's happened since then. So yeah, I don't know. I'll probably check it out sometime, like all of it.
Have you seen the Morbius trailer?
Oh yeah, that happened. I forgot about that. Yes, I have seen the Morbius trailer.
I love the character of Michael Morbius.
I liked the.
He's a vampire. What more?
The reveal. I will say the reveal at the end when he's fully Morbiused up. I was like,
great, didn't it?
That looks awesome.
It was a little too CG. The fangs were a bit weird, but it looked right.
It did.
It looks how Morbius should look.
Yeah, we got Michael Keaton in it as well, so I guess it's firmly in the
Keaton cameo. I mean, they're trying to push him in everything at the moment, aren't they? Which is great.
Well, I'm assuming he's Vulture, right? In it.
Yes, he's Vulture. Yeah.
So I guess they're linking the series.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because I haven't seen the second.
Spider-Man?
Venom.
Oh no, you have seen the second Spider-Man because I remember you raging about it.
No, the second Spider-Man's terrible.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the second Venom yet, but I have heard that they've defanged it a little.
Oh really?
Yeah, they've toned down a lot of the, the nasty stuff that he does. You don't see it like you did in the first one. So I'm interested to see.
That was one of the funniest things in the first one.
Morbius, because Morbius eats people.
Yeah.
I mean, not eats people like Venom does, but he's a vampire.
I think he's just going to eat bad people.
Yeah.
Because
Morbius is one of those characters that again, like Fett. He's ambiguous. He's been good and bad. He's one of those, ambiguous characters. And so done right, it could be interesting. But I don't know whether...
It was one of the things...
I don't know how Disney they're going to go.
No. And I must admit, that was one of the things that I thought when I saw the Black Adam trailer. And I'm not sure how interested I am. I'm not really interested in superhero things anymore. But I'm not sure how interested I am in seeing Black Adam. But when I saw that trailer, which was just that one scene, I was like... they're really going for it. He's really murdering people. Cool.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay. Like he's actually, he's actually a bad guy.
They're going to do that with this because of the, the direction that the Venom movie's gone. So it will. I mean, the other problem is I don't like Jared Leto.
I know you really don't. I like him in certain roles. Like
he's a good actor when he wants to. I can't fault his performances. He's a genuinely good actor. I just think as a man, I think just makes me want to punch him.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of celebrities though. So
yeah, it's kind of hard to disassociate who
Yeah, sure.
actor from performance from person. For me, not everybody, but for him, it's
and he is one of those quote unquote method actors, which like it kind of goes like past a point where it's like, I don't know if you're trying to do method acting as much as you are just trying to be a prick at this point.
Just be a dick, yeah.
Like I'm not sure, but
I mean, it depends on the stories that come out about his Joker. It depends on who you listen to.
Well, whatever it wasn't worth what we got in the performance.
Exactly. It doesn't sound like it was worth it at all.
No. And I gave him a fair shake. I was like, let's wait, guys. Let's wait. Let's give him his time. And then even after Suicide Squad, I was like, okay, maybe it was just really badly written. Let's give it time. But no, whenever I see it, it's just like, no, it's just awful. It just doesn't work. It's awful. Sorry.
No. Terrible. We'll see how he gets on with Morbius. Maybe it'll be a redemption for him. I don't know.
It might be. It looks fine. It looks fine. It looks, I like vampire movies. So
yeah.
I think that's where I am with superhero movies now, where I'm like, I'm not really interested in superhero movies, but then it's like, okay, you're going to do a vampire movie, and I'll look at it as a vampire movie rather than a superhero movie, and then maybe I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I can enjoy it as a vampire movie. That's fine.
Well, I think.
Like when Guardians came along, that was like a real breath of fresh air for me. I was like, oh, thank God, just a space movie. Cool, fun.
I'm not hearing terribly good things about the Eternals. That's.
I don't read. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even know the Eternals, and I've zero interest. And it doesn't look particularly great.
No.
I don't know the heroes or anything about them really. I know vaguely who they are, but because they're all like Thanos level powerful, right?
Yeah, they're gods. They're basically gods.
So I get that, but I've never read the comics, so I really don't. So care.
I've not read the Kirby ones, the original Kirby ones either. But I did read his like DC versions. So
okay.
The problem is the new gods in, because he made the new gods in DC, which is Darkseid and Orion and
right.
The not Martian Manhunter. Scott Free. What's his name? Mr. Miracle.
Okay, yeah.
And Big Barda and all those characters. So I know those ones. When he went to Marvel and did these, but from what I can gather, these aren't anything like the Kirby ones. So
right,
they've changed a lot of stuff. From what I'm getting, it just sounds boring.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I have no intention of going to see it.
No, I felt the same about most of all of the new ones, really. I saw Black Widow because I was given a copy, and it was like, okay, I need something to review. But like Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, I'm not interested in.
This is playing out a little now, isn't it?
It's an interesting conversation, and I keep going back to this, where I'm so bored of superhero movies, I don't care anymore. But I will watch Godzilla movie after Godzilla movie. So I understand. Yeah. If it's your thing, I get it. I totally get it. Totally get it, because I will watch. Anyone could look at Godzilla movies and say that's the same movie over and over again. And you could draw parallels, and you might not be wrong there. But that does it for me. It might not do it for you. And that's the way I feel about superheroes. I enjoyed them. And then, the movies now, I'm like, I can't really be bothered anymore. It's fine. I also think, there's something about the size, especially the MCU one now. It's like, it's been around too long to the point that it's just ridiculously convoluted, and the plot holes are glaring, and the issues are kind of glaring now. And I think that's just the result of it being around too long. Endgame really should have been the end, and then they should have started again or something, really.
Yeah, I think the problem I have as well is that a lot of the new heroes they're bringing in, nobody cares about or knows. So, that doesn't help.
No, I mean, they did at one point. They announced the last time I was like, oh, okay, was when they announced Moon Knight, because I used to like Moon Knight, and I was like, oh, maybe Moon Knight, maybe I'd watch Moon Knight, but I don't know. Maybe I won't. Again,
we were talking about the Morbius thing and how toned down that's going to be. Moon Knight. Fucking horror show.
Yeah.
He is not a nice guy.
No.
He's a schizophrenic. You know, he's got multiple personalities.
Yeah, he's got issues.
He's schizophrenic. He's not a well man.
No.
He's not Batman. He's kind of Batman, but not Batman. You know,
Well, he's like Batman if he was way more insane. Like,
yeah, he was a complete psychopath.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them doing.
I can't imagine Disney doing
that.
it. Like,
no,
kind of feels like Moon Knight probably would have been done better justice if it was on Netflix, you know, alongside Daredevil and Punisher and stuff.
Daredevil series and all that stuff. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think they were talking about doing it. That, you know,
so that I could see working.
I think it was going to be part of that part of the universe.
Oh, really?
Because those things are still attached to the Marvel universe.
They're like vaguely attached, aren't
they? But they're kind of exactly. They're kind of swept into a corner where you can't quite see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because
there is rumors they're bringing in Charlie Cox's Daredevil, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd love to see Charlie Cox again.
Oh, so would I. I don't want.
That series is a fantastic series.
It really is, and I really enjoyed the Punisher series, but I don't want them to do that because Disney will ruin the Punisher. I can't see them doing it. Daredevil, though, yeah, I'd love to see more Daredevil. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows?
The only other bit of news I saw, which made me happy, was John Woo is going to be directing Joel Kinnaman.
Yes.
In a new action film called Silent Night.
Okay. Cool.
It's his first American movie for a long time, and it's his last couple of movies. I haven't seen The Crossing. So I haven't seen one of his movies since 2017 or something. I think it's been a while. But this is going to be a no dialogue movie.
Only guns. Only gunshots.
Yeah, it's going to be about a father who heads to the underworld to avenge his young son's death.
Fuck yeah. I'm all about that. That sounds great. That's what I want. That's what I want from a John Woo movie.
John Woo, you know, guns and stuff. Yes, please.
I want at least 2 doves and at least 2 pistols.
I need a Beretta and a Browning and lots of doves.
And the only diversion I will accept from those things is if you're doing Face Off 2, John Woo. Then I will accept diversions for Face Off 2. Face Off being one of the greatest bad films ever made. But yeah, oh man, no, it sounds fun.
We definitely will do that at some point.
Yeah, that's going to be a watch along though. You need to come over and we need to watch that one.
Yeah, I think
we need to have beer and watch it together. That one.
That is definitely true. Yeah,
because that's oh god, it's such a great bad movie. So entertaining. But yeah, more John Woo sounds good to me. It sounds like a classic John Woo story as well. So yeah. Works for me. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. What are we watching next week?
So I have 2 choices for you.
Yes.
Very different choices.
Ooh, okay.
I thought, you know,
let's mix it up.
Get away from Halloween. So your choices are Get Carter.
Okay.
Or Flash Gordon.
Oh fuck. That was going to be a really easy Get Carter then until you said Flash Gordon, and I'm like, oh, Flash though.
I thought so. I thought I wanted to do completely away from Halloween.
And they're both very different.
Exactly.
Do you have a preference there?
Nope. I mean, I love both of those movies.
Yeah, so do I.
I mean, Get Carter is probably my favourite Michael Caine movie. And I love Michael Caine. Michael Caine is one of my favourite actors, so...
Let's do Get Carter.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for ages, and I fancy rewatching it, so that works for me.
Get Carter is then.
But Flash has to happen at some point, because that's... You
can always do that after.
Yeah, sure, why not? We'll do Flash after.
Perfect.
Yeah, I haven't seen Get Carter for a long time, so it'll be nice to rewatch.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Sounds good to me. We'll be back next week with our in-depth review, our deep dive into Get Carter. But thank you for listening, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.